Married for 60 years, we've seen the highs, the lows, the laughter, the tears, and everything in between. And if there's one thing I can tell you from a lifetime together, it's that marriage is as much about learning from mistakes as it is about celebrating victories. We've made our share, and some of them were costly not in money, but in love, trust, and connection. Today, I want to share 5 mistakes we made in our marriage, so you don't have to repeat them. The first mistake we made was taking each other for granted. When you're married for decades, it's easy to assume your partner will always be there. But love is not a guarantee, it's a daily choice. Early on, we stopped noticing the little things, the notes, the compliments, the acts of kindness that once made us feel so cherished. We assumed our commitment alone was enough. Over time, we realized that relationships need attention, appreciation, and affirmation every single day. Don't make the mistake of thinking love doesn't need nurturing. Celebrate your partner, thank them, and let them know you see and value them, even after 50 or 60 years. Our second mistake was holding onto grudges. We argued, like all couples do. But sometimes we let small conflicts fester into weeks of silence or resentment. Those unspoken words piled up like debt, quietly straining our relationship. We learned, painfully, that forgiveness is not optional, it's essential. Marriage is not about keeping score, it's about learning to compromise, to let go, and to repair the bond before it's too late. The sooner you learn to forgive and move forward, the lighter your hearts will be. Third, we neglected our friendship as life became busy with children, careers, and responsibilities. We stopped being friends and became co-managers of a household. We forgot to laugh together, to share dreams, to have fun. It's easy to fall into routines that keep the love alive on the surface, but leave the heart feeling distant. Keeping your friendship alive, even in small ways, is what sustains intimacy over decades. Never underestimate the power of a shared joke, a quiet cup of coffee together, or an old memory revisited. The fourth mistake was not communicating openly about money and feelings. Oh, how many arguments could have been avoided if we had just spoken honestly from the start. Money, emotions, and expectations can silently erode love if left unspoken. We learned that honesty, even when it's uncomfortable, is better than silence. Speak your truth, listen with empathy, and never assume your partner knows what you're thinking or feeling. Finally, the fifth mistake was forgetting to invest in ourselves individually. For years, we devoted everything to our marriage, family, and responsibilities, leaving little room for personal growth. But a healthy marriage needs to hold individuals, not to halves. Pursue your interests, passions, and friendships. Grow personally, and your relationship will grow too. Being fulfilled individually makes you more patient, loving, and present for your partner. 60 years of marriage is a gift, but it doesn't come without lessons. If we could go back, we'd cherish these lessons from the start, appreciate daily, forgive freely, nurture friendship, communicate openly, and never lose yourself. These 5 mistakes taught us more about love than any easy moment ever could. And if sharing our experience helps even one couple avoid the same pitfalls, then 60 years of learning together has been worth it. Marriage is a journey, and the most beautiful part is walking it together with patience, humility, and an open heart. Taking each other for granted is a trap that creeps into a marriage slowly, almost imperceptibly, until one day you realize that the warmth and appreciation you once felt for each other has faded into routine. In the early years, everything is fresh and exciting. Small gestures, thoughtful words, shared laughter, and even minor sacrifices feel meaningful and noticed. But over time, familiarity can dull our awareness. We begin to assume that because our partner loves us and we love them, we no longer need to show it, to express it, or to acknowledge it. That assumption is dangerous because love is not static. It needs constant attention and care. For decades, we fell into this pattern. We stopped saying thank you for simple things like making a cup of tea or listening after a long day. We stopped noticing the little sacrifices each of us made to keep the household running smoothly, or to support one another's dreams. We assumed the other person would automatically know we appreciated them. That assumption led to feelings of invisibility, even resentment, because no one likes to feel overlooked. It took years for us to realize that appreciation is a choice we have to make every single day. Marriage requires consistent effort, not grand gestures, but small, meaningful actions and words that communicate love and gratitude. A kind note, a compliment, a hug, or even just attentive listening can remind your partner that you notice them and that you value them. Taking each other for granted slowly erodes intimacy and can create distance that may feel impossible to bridge if left unchecked. But the good news is that awareness is the first step. Once you recognize the pattern, it's never too late to reverse it. Make it a habit to acknowledge your partner's efforts, to express gratitude regularly, and to celebrate each other's presence in your life. These simple actions build a reservoir of emotional goodwill that carries you through the inevitable challenges of life. In 60 years of marriage, we learned that noticing, appreciating, and expressing love are not optional, they are essential. Taking each other for granted might seem harmless at first, but over time, it can quietly undermine the very foundation of your relationship. Never assume your partner knows how much they mean to you. Tell them, show them, and never stop reminding them. Holding on to grudges is one of the most damaging mistakes a couple can make, and unfortunately, we learned this the hard way in every long marriage. Disagreements are inevitable, sometimes small and insignificant, other times more serious and emotional. But what truly hurts a relationship is not the argument itself, it's what comes afterward. When we allowed resentment to linger, we built invisible walls between us. A simple misunderstanding could turn into days, weeks, or even months of silent treatment, passive-aggressive comments, or emotional distance. In hindsight, we realized that grudges don't protect you, they only hurt both partners. Every unresolved conflict leaves an unspoken weight that grows heavier over time. It seeps into daily life, coloring conversations, interactions, and even our memories of happier times. We began to understand that carrying resentment is like carrying a burden in your heart that affects everything you do. It saps joy, diminishes trust, and erodes intimacy. At first, we justified it by saying, "I'll get over it when they apologize, or they should understand why I'm upset." But in reality, waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect apology only made things worse. We learned that forgiveness is not about excusing bad behavior. It's about choosing peace over bitterness. It's about recognizing that holding onto anger harms you more than it harms anyone else. Once we embraced the idea that forgiveness is a conscious daily practice, our marriage changed profoundly. Arguments no longer lingered for days. Small disagreements became opportunities to listen, understand, and empathize rather than to score points or prove a point. We discovered that letting go doesn't mean you forget. It means you value the relationship more than the grievance. Over 60 years, this lesson proved invaluable. Every time we released a grudge, we reclaimed part of our love, our patience, and our joy. Holding on to grudges is a silent killer of relationships because it quietly breeds distance and bitterness. But forgiveness, even in small doses, rebuilds trust and restores connection. If there is one piece of advice we would give to any couple, it's this: don't let anger linger, don't keep score, and never allow resentment to take root. Forgive quickly, communicate openly, and choose love every day, because a grudge left unchecked can quietly steal decades of happiness. Neglecting friendship is a mistake that quietly undermines even the strongest marriages. In the early years, we were not just lovers, we were best friends. We laughed together, shared dreams, confided our fears, and celebrated small victories. But over the decades, life became busy. Careers, children, finances, and responsibilities took center stage, and somewhere along the way, the friendship that had once been the heartbeat of our relationship began to fade. We stopped doing the little things that had bonded us: late night conversations, shared hobbies, spontaneous adventures, and even simple inside jokes. We became more like co-managers of a household than partners in life. What we didn't realize at the time is that marriage without friendship is like a tree. Without roots, love can survive for a while on habit and duty alone, but it will wither if the foundation of friendship is ignored. It was only after years of routine and quiet distance that we noticed the change. The conversations became practical, the laughter less frequent, and the companionship less fulfilling. That realization hit hard because we understood that friendship is the glue that keeps intimacy alive. When you are friends with your partner, disagreements are easier to navigate, challenges feel less heavy, and joy multiplies naturally. Being friends means genuinely enjoying each other's company, valuing each other's opinions, and taking delight in shared experiences. It also means supporting one another's individual growth and celebrating achievements with genuine excitement. We learned to rekindle our friendship intentionally through daily rituals like morning coffee together, weekend walks, revisiting old hobbies, and even just reminiscing about memories that made us laugh. Rebuilding that friendship reminded us why we fell in love in the first place. Friendship in marriage is not a luxury, it is essential. It allows love to evolve, deepens intimacy, and creates a sense of companionship that survives the challenges of decades. Neglecting it is one of the easiest traps to fall into because it creeps in gradually, but it is also one of the most important things to restore if it has been lost. 60 years together taught us that laughter, shared dreams, and genuine companionship are not extras, they are the lifeblood of a marriage. Never underestimate the power of friendship to sustain, nurture, and enrich the love you share. Poor communication about money and feelings is a mistake that can quietly strain a marriage over the years, and it's one we experienced firsthand. In the early stages of our marriage, we were idealistic and optimistic, believing that love alone could solve most problems. But as life progressed, financial decisions, daily stress, and unspoken emotions began to build invisible walls between us. Money, in particular, became a source of tension. Without openly discussing budgets, priorities, and expectations, small misunderstandings escalated into arguments that could have been easily avoided. One of the hardest lessons we learned was that assuming your partner knows what you think or feel is dangerous. Feelings, after all, are internal, they need to be expressed. We often held back concerns, worries, or frustrations, fearing conflict or not wanting to burden the other. But keeping emotions bottled up only created distance and silent resentment. Over time, we realized that honesty, even when uncomfortable, is essential. Speaking openly about your fears, disappointments, and hopes fosters trust and understanding. The same is true for money. Couples who avoid discussing finances often find themselves caught in repeated misunderstandings, stress, or hidden anxieties. What we learned is that communication is not just about resolving problems, it's about connection. Regular, honest conversations about finances, emotions, and expectations help both partners feel seen, heard, and respected. It is in those moments of vulnerability that intimacy grows. We also discovered that listening is just as important as speaking. A marriage thrives when both partners feel their perspectives are valued, without judgment or defensiveness. Poor communication may not always be obvious at first, but over years, it can quietly erode trust, create emotional distance, and leave both partners feeling isolated. By addressing these issues proactively, we were able to strengthen our bond, reduce conflict, and increase mutual respect. If there is one lesson we would emphasize, it is this: never underestimate the power of open, honest communication. Speak your mind, share your heart, discuss finances openly, and listen with empathy. Doing so keeps a marriage strong, resilient, and deeply connected, even after decades together. Avoiding this mistake is one of the most effective ways to preserve love, trust, and companionship for a lifetime. Forgetting to invest in ourselves is a mistake that we made for many years, and one that quietly chipped away at our happiness and even the strength of our marriage in the early decades. It felt natural to devote almost all of our time, energy, and attention to our spouse, our children, and the responsibilities of daily life. Careers, household duties, and family obligations consumed us, leaving little room for personal growth, hobbies, or individual dreams. We believed that being a good partner meant sacrificing our own needs, but over time, we realized the opposite is true. A healthy, lasting marriage requires fulfilled individuals. When we neglected our personal passions and growth, we unintentionally became more irritable, less patient, and even less interesting to one another. Life began to feel routine, and small frustrations seemed larger because our own emotional reserves were depleted. Investing in ourselves isn't selfish. It's essential for sustaining love and connection, pursuing personal interests, friendships, education, or hobbies makes us happier, more confident, and more capable of giving to our partner. Over the years, we learned that when each of us nurtured our individuality, our marriage improved dramatically. We became more curious, engaged, and supportive of each other. We found that sharing experiences outside the marriage, like joining a club, learning a new skill, or traveling independently, gave us fresh stories, energy, and perspectives to bring back to the relationship. Investing in ourselves also teaches our partners to respect boundaries, independence, and personal growth, which strengthens trust and mutual admiration. The truth is, a marriage can only thrive when both people feel whole. If one or both partners lose themselves entirely in the relationship, it can lead to resentment, boredom, or emotional distance. By remembering to nurture our own minds, bodies, and spirits, we became better partners, lovers, and friends to each other. 60 years together taught us that love is not just about what you give to your spouse, but also about the strength, joy, and passion you cultivate within yourself. Never forget to invest in yourself, because when you are fulfilled individually, your marriage flourishes collectively, creating a partnership that can truly last a lifetime.